Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are going over all the games from Week 12. This week kind of sucks, doesn't it?
It's not as good as last week. Last week was a real gauntlet of good game after good game. There's like 3, and the rest you can probably bail on.
Yeah, like last week was kind of epic, and when you're looking through it, it was like, oh my God, Burrow, Herbert, Steelers, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, and this week it's... honestly, you should probably go on a walk. And
this is like a just throw on red zone week.
What's the apple picking weekend?
Yes, Bill always calls it apple picking week. Yeah, it's too bad all the apples are dead. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving shopping week. That's what it is.
It's also six buys this week. Sorry, 6 teams are on buys, so I guess 3 buys. But that also narrows down sort of like the potential for good games here.
It's nice. We're gearing up for the December gauntlet of Christmas games and college football playoffs that are lasting a month. There'll be plenty of good football over the
your last opportunity to take a breath.
Yeah, exactly. Take a breath, enjoy the fall, go crunch some leaves, which is the last thing that connects me to my childhood. And then, so we just get into it. Game of the year. This one sucks. It's not the game of the year.
It's game of the day.
Game of the day.
This is the first time we'll admit it's game of the day.
Game of the
slate.
It's not
the game of the year.
No. But it's Niners-Packers in Green Bay. There's a lot of similarities between these two teams. You know, they're both coached by these offensive maestros.
I can't even see the word anymore without thinking it's maestro now.
Can I admit something to you guys? I still don't know which is the right way to say it. I just know that the word's maestro, covered in like
in American English.
Yeah.
Maestro.
If you're speaking Italian, you would say maestro.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not. You don't speak Italian.
What did he originally say? Maestro?
I
think he said maestro, which is the right way to say it in Italian.
That makes me miss Solak. Solak just jumped on you so hard. That was great.
It's not an English word. It's not this language. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Still can't just admit he was wrong. Yep.
Look, it's like impotent. Sometimes you got to double down. But it's like 2 genius play callers who are in a situationship with their quarterbacks. This like love-hate battle with their QBs. And both of these teams, these are also like 2 awesome coaches, top 5 coaches in the league, top 5 minds in the league, and they've never gotten over the hump. But neither of these teams. It's like the Ulcer Super Bowl, like the 2 coaches who want it so bad and can't quite get there. And also, this is kind of like there's a little bit of Bills Chiefs to these 2 teams because the pack LaFleur always beats Shanahan in the regular season, and then Shanahan always beats LaFleur in the playoffs, much like Bills Chiefs. So this is a big game. It's definitely a bigger game for San Francisco. I mean, we're in like now or never territory with this team. They're 5-5. If they lose, they go 5-6 to Buffalo on the road next week. Yeah.
It's a good flag in the rivalry because I think the Niners have ended 5 of the last 12 Packers seasons.
And it's always some ugly game that the Niners win like 15-10.
What do you think of the fact that Green Bay is favored by 2 here? Do you think that sounds right, even though the 49ers are 5-5 and kind of in this crazy-ass year? It's still a little bit surprising to see the Packers favored in this game.
Well, both these teams just play close games. Both of their average margin of victory is under 3 points this year. So I think this is probably right, and you give the nod to the home team, I would say. Also, both these teams are just like messy. These are like big play teams, kind of a lot of turnovers. Purdy is turning the ball over way more than he did last year. Jordan Love already has more picks this year than he had all last year. Yeah. So this is going to be one of those games that's going to come down to like who can limit turnovers, I think.
I also think this Niners-Packers game just comes down to quarterback health because you have the Niners trending in the wrong direction, Packers trending in the right direction. You have Brock Purdy, who that little, what do we call him, a little snake, little weasel last week?
Sneaky little shit.
Sneaky little shit, Brock Purdy, just sneaking around, getting quarterback sneaks, getting in the end zone.
Just
and
squirts out of the
people
who
hate small dogs hate Brock Purdy.
Yeah, exactly. But so the
Pomeranian of quarterbacks.
Pomeranian, he is.
I had a lot of.
Do you remember we had that emailer who worked at the Lululemon in San Francisco, and he came in and spent like 90 minutes there and like bought a bunch of shit, but all the women at Lululemon like had no idea he was an NFL player, and when they were told that later, they couldn't believe it. They were like, "No, he's like 5'9". There's no way he played in the NFL." They were like, "I'm taller than him."
To me, if the height isn't there, the number one sign that somebody's a professional athlete is their forearms. It's always their
forearms.
Wrists. Yes, wrists and forearms of athletes are always huge.
What the?
Even when we walked by Kirk Cousins, DK and I did at the Super Bowl. Was it last year? 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah.
I remember we saw Kirk and we're like,
Not that big.
Not that big. But when you look at like forearm, wrist, they're always thick and strong.
Wow, I'm looking at Brock Purdy's forearms. They are kind of thick.
Yeah, it's always there. I mean, definitely with baseball players, but
Imagine Will Levis's forearms in real life.
God, dude.
That's a 4. Yeah. That's a 5-arm.
My brother met Aaron Rodgers once and said like his biggest takeaway was how big his like hands, wrists, and forearms were.
Oh yeah, you ever shake a quarterback's hand?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it gets lost like the beer in Andre the Giant's hand. You know, your hand just
gets like grabbing a bunch of bananas.
Those are fun. That's like there's like all this like not AI slop, but there's like all this like obvious engagement farming content that's just like. But like some of it you love. I'm such a sucker for any time there's like a viral thread of like random objects in athletes' hands, and it's like Shaq holding a beer. It's like I love that shit. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I met I went to Nate Tice's wedding and I met Mike Tice's dad and I shook his hand. I was like, good Lord.
What a giant.
Like he could crush my hand without even trying. He just crushed my hand.
Low key, my brother is kind of a physical freak in that something happened in childbirth where he has like this like 6'8" NBA hands despite being a 6'3" normal person. My brother has freakishly big hands. Like anytime he meets people now, all he does is has to put his hand up to whoever he's meeting because they're like so in shock at how big his hands are. Yeah, I remember we went to a basketball museum and there was like molds of basketballs where NBA players would it was like a cement mold you put your hand in. My brother was like the same size as like half these NBA athletes when he was in like 8th grade. My brother could palm a pro basketball in 6th grade.
That's palming amazing. A pro basketball is no joke. That's like, wow, damn.
I can barely do it now. I have to like kind of squeeze it in to do it.
Oh, that's a humble flex.
Yeah.
Okay. I can barely
compared to my brother, I'm nothing.
No, you're not. But yeah, so Brock Purdy, huge forearms, 5 arms, if you will. But he has a right shoulder soreness. He's on the injury report. It's his throwing shoulder. That's not great. I don't love that. And I know it didn't really affect him in the Seahawks game, but I'm kind of like, you know what? Adrenaline's a hell of a drug. I do think that's one of those things that gets better with time, but also a little worse.
He's also running a lot more, which might contribute to that. He's running more this year than he ever has.
So that's the downside. But the flip side is I think the Packers, Jordan Love played really well last week. He had one absolute brain fart interception where he just kind of like, I don't know. It's almost like he dropped the controller, like he just overshot Tucker Kraft and just launched it over for a pick. But otherwise, Jordan Love played really well. But Jordan Love, and actually I will say Justin Herbert too, were both so extremely not healthy with these lower body injuries at the beginning of the season. Herbert had that plantar fasciitis, and Jordan Love had the MCL sprain from the horrible Brazilian field, came back,
the groin.
And then he had a groin injury. And last week was the first week where I was like, that guy, he looks 95% of the way back, Jordan Love did. Like, he's running, he's extending plays, which is so important what the Packers do, where you have that first LaFleur play, and then you have the Jordan Love, like, longest yard, schoolyard bullshit at the end of it. And, like, that schoolyard bullshit was back with Green Bay last week, and I thought that was really huge. So I'm curious to see how much Purdy really extends stuff with, obviously, it's not like it's going to affect his running, but is he going to be willing to take risks with his throwing shoulder, considering this is already a guy who, like, they basically didn't make the Super Bowl once because Brock Purdy had to, like, leave that Eagles championship game and didn't have anyone behind him. I'm wondering I'm curious if he, like, doesn't want to take the hits. It's not they physically can't move. Whereas the Packers, I think they're trending up. So I feel like the Packers have the advantage. But yeah, 5-5 for the 49ers. Like, if they win, they're, like, absolutely can still win the division. And if you lose, you're in last place.
I can't, Kittle coming back in this game. I think he's going to be playing. Could be massive for the 49ers. Just think about what he does for them in the run game and in the passing game. I think he's just one of those quietly super, super important players. Yeah.
Jordan Love, I feel like, has taken the mantle from Josh Allen as the most talented quarterback in the league who could throw the worst pick you've ever seen in your life at any moment. Because Josh Allen doesn't really do that anymore, and I think now that's Jordan Love's belt.
Dude, there are two devils on Jordan Love's shoulder, and one is Brett Favre and one is Aaron Rodgers. Oh my God. It is true, though. He really is just like Brett Favre's brain with like Aaron Rodgers and aesthetics.
This is like kind of morbid, I guess, but like, have you guys ever seen Platoon?
Yeah.
You know how like part of the whole theme of the movie is like he feels like he's the son of the two guys that are fighting over him during the battle. I can't remember their names in the movie. It's like shit, what are their names? It's
Tom Berenger?
Tom Berenger and William Dafoe are the two guys that like are basically fighting over his soul in the movie, and it's like eventually it goes really, really badly. But yeah, it just kind of reminds me of like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre fighting over Jordan Love's soul.
Godspeed to Jordan Love.
Anyway, that's a depressing ass movie. Anyway, moving on.
Niners, Packers, that's in the late slate. So we get to the early slate here and just look at all this slop we got to get there to make it. I think that I kind of want to do a wine pairing here of two games that I think are super similar because there's Vikings, Bears, where it's in Chicago, but the Vikings are giving 3.5 points. And then you have the Lions are at the Colts, where the Lions are giving 7. And I think these games are really similar because I feel like Caleb Williams for the Bears and Anthony Richardson for the Colts both had huge comebacks last week. Anthony Richardson from being benched and the Colts beating the Jets. And then you had Caleb Williams coming back from, just Shane Waldron being fired, and they should have beaten the Packers. And so Caleb and Richardson both have these awesome games. And I know the Bears lost, but Caleb and Richardson both played so much better last week. And then this week, so all right, you thought you beat the boss in the video game, didn't you, buddy? Well, you know what? Look at this. Now you're going to deal with this. And Caleb Williams has to face the best defense in the NFL in the Vikings. And then Anthony Richardson has to play the Lions, who just outgained the Jaguars by 500 yards and the biggest yardage differential in 50 years. And good luck to both of them. Bless their heart.
Snap back to reality here for both of these guys. It's tough. It's so the Caleb Williams in particular, I feel nervous about this game for him. I'm how you have nervousness for someone else? That's how I feel about him right now.
Watching The Office.
Yeah.
I turned this off.
This is just not a great situation for him because they bring pressure from so many different angles. It's so difficult to discern what they're doing before the snap. And a big part of I think what has made Caleb Williams, at least I'm pretty excited about him long term, is the stuff he does prior to the snap is pretty advanced for a rookie quarterback. And so I don't know if we'll be able to do any of that stuff this week. I think it's going to be really, really messy for this offense, which it has been, for big chunks of the season, but it's just going to be one of those games where they can't really run their offense.
And they can't really run probably, which I think is another reason why they succeeded a little bit more last week, was they were basically just running the ball and throwing it, getting it out quick, getting it out of his hands quick.
Yeah.
And if they can't really run the ball, I think that's going to be a lot harder. It's tough. It also sucks that the Bears are riding a 4-game losing streak into this, and they don't even have the good vibes of hitting that field goal against the Packers to give you some momentum. And you really look at it, they're playing Minnesota now. Last week, although they played better, they scored 19 points.
Right.
And now they're going up against Minnesota.
It's
makes me a little nervous.
Dude, I'm nervous too.
Narvison.
If you look at True Media, which is this great service that we have here at The Ringer and True Media, you can kind of pull up you can compare an offense versus a defense, and you can see the categories and where they rank. And if it's good, it's green. And if it's bad, it's red. And when you pull up the Bears offense versus the Vikings defense, it's Christmas. Everything is bright green for Vikings D and bright red for the Bears. Pick whatever category you want, just to randomly pick 2. Vikings lead the third in sacks, first in pressure rate, first in blitz rate, first in total blitzes, first in rushing yards per game allowed. That's the Vikings. Again, last week, I think Tony Pollard for the Titans had 9 carries for 15 yards.
Yeah.
It's going to be brutal. And the other thing, DK, I agree that Caleb Williams doesn't get enough credit for doing a lot more than most rookies do, pre-snap, offensive line, all this stuff. He holds onto the ball a long time. And one of the reasons we talked about this, I think it's a mix of wanting to prove he can run the system. I think it's a mix of the system sucked and it was not getting anyone open, and there's no attention to detail on the routes, so no one was open even if it worked. But man, if there was a D that was kind of designed for I feel like the Flores thing in a nutshell is trap doors. It's oh, you're getting a blitz, so here you throw your hot route. Actually, we have a guy sitting on your hot route that you thought was blitzing. And I do think I wouldn't be shocked if this is the worst game Caleb actually has all year, statistically.
Yeah. Damn. And he hasn't scored a touchdown in a month. I don't think he hasn't thrown a touchdown in a month.
Well, I guess statistically it can't be because he had 85 yards versus the Titans in week 2.
I know. But I'm worried about this game so much. Maybe are we going to do another Costanza with the Bears this week?
Because I feel
Costanza. We did the Bears last week as a Costanza. We almost pulled it off. They should have won, technically.
Yep. On that note of they should have won. So obviously the Bears last week, they settle for the field goal and it gets blocked by the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I didn't think I could be more out on Matt Eberflus as the Bears head coach. Cairo Santos, who's the Bears kicker. Did you see this? So he was not trying to force blame on anyone, but sometimes the truth comes out. And he was taking full responsibility for the kick. But he was asked, and he said he prefers the kick on the right hash, not the left hash.
Oh, they didn't even put it on the hash he wanted?
No. And I'm not even going to sit here and be annoying. It definitely would have not been blocked if it was there. But it's more the process of it's 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
You have a 46-yard field goal.
They have
There's 15 seconds left. You have a timeout.
Yeah.
Anyone who it is the most basic football 101 thing for you to be hey, we're going to run to the right, put it on the right hash. We don't even care if we get a yard or not. we want to put it where the kicker is. The fact that they're not even putting it where the kicker prefers when you actually have a timeout and the time to do it is, once again, there's no attention to detail. That's
basic shit like that blows my mind. Like, how's every coach in the league not doing that? How are you missing that in an NFL game?
I thought, like, and Bears fans maybe can correct me if they saw something different, but like in the moment too, it felt to me like there was indecision happening.
Yes,
like it felt 100%. To me like, are we gonna try and run another play? Or are we gonna do something? And then like nothing happened, and so they're like, okay, I guess we'll just take it down to 3 seconds and call a timeout. It felt to me like there was no direction of what was happening.
Do you ever remember moments in school when you kind of caught glimpses of moments where you could tell the teacher like didn't know what they were doing, and you were like, wait a minute, is this allowed? Like, I thought you were like an all-knowing power. You can do anything. You're my teacher. Right. And then when you see them like struggling with, even if it's like getting the projection to work or like not knowing what the lesson plan is, or the principal walks in and asks them a question, they don't have an answer to it. It's a very kind of like unnerving feeling. And I have to imagine it's the same way when you're an NFL player and your coach like doesn't know what to do at the end of the game.
You're like,
wait a minute, isn't this what
you're supposed to be in charge?
Yeah.
You see your coach at the grocery store, you're like, what are you doing here?
And you're like, you're in cargo shorts, Mr. Watkins?
Dude, my middle school science teacher, who, oh my God, he had a real nightmare run. But he talked to us once at length about like his troubles dating, and then accidentally put up like a raunchy email exchange on the projector by accident. And it was
no.
Whoa.
Oh man.
With like who? With like
some woman
girlfriend?
he had met on like eHarmony at the time or something. And it was like like a real like
eHarmony.
Internet, like really before anyone really understood screen sharing and how that could go wrong. It was brutal.
Damn.
Anyway. So the Bears, and just button on this, dude, Bears, if they don't win this game, Vikings, then they're at Detroit, at the Niners, at the Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, at Green Bay.
I mean,
honestly,
this team's cooked. So let's be honest.
They might not, like the Bears could do well down the stretch, but they might not win more than like a game. Right. In that stretch. Like they started 4-2. They might finish 5-12.
Yeah. Caleb's going to have to go on like a real tear.
Yes.
To even have a shot at like 500 this year.
And the other team that just like, congrats on your win, but like now, this is the real storm. Lions are at the Colts this week. Lions are giving 7 points. I don't know how the Lions are only giving 7.
I know.
Good luck to Anthony Richardson. I mean,
I feel like the Lions should be favored by like, I don't know, 23.5 points in most games.
You know what? There are some things I don't think models are good at adjusting to, and one of them is that the Lions are clearly cool running up the score. They're kind of proud of it.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny to me that that's not taken. I actually think that that's a core reason why the Lions have, because the Lions, if you just, the best investment you could have made in football, like gambling wise, is just betting on every Lions money line for the last Dan Campbell era. Yeah. Because they're like 40-12 against the spread. Mm-hmm. I think it's because they love running up the score.
Yeah, probably.
And they're a good team.
There's no backdoor covers against them.
No. DK, do you feel? I feel like last week. So I saw this from Hayden Winks at Underdog. Last week, the Colts had 10 design runs for Anthony Richardson, which is the most any team's had all season. Do you feel like the Colts? Like, I feel like the first 6 weeks of the season, they basically were afraid to have Anthony Richardson be a human battering ram again after he like had the shoulder injury, and this is all like scar tissue from the ruining Andrew Luck. And then last week they were like, all right, I guess we have to do what makes this guy special, don't we? Do you feel like the Colts are going to, like, basically, do you feel like the Colts are going to use Richardson as a runner going forward a lot more?
I think so, yeah. And remember, like, Steichen comes from, like, the Eagles philosophy where he understands the difference it makes, like, obviously profoundly for coming from that team in terms of, like, what you can bring to your offense when your quarterback runs. My guess is, like, Occam's razor here. This is obvious. Early on in the year, they ran him a little bit. He got hurt a couple times, and then they were like, okay, we need to chill for a little bit till he gets healthy. And now they're back to, I guess he's fully healthy. Now they're back to like, this is how we visualize using him. This is, a real, like, it's a force multiplier being able to run the ball like that. Like, it changes literally the way that, like, you can block the front, how good your running game can be. Like, it changes everything. It basically adds an extra like gap when you can just run, or when you can hold a guy by, the mesh point, the read option or whatever. So it changes the math of the defense. It's a really profoundly important part of their offense, I think. And so I think my guess is they just were kind of trying to keep him from getting hurt earlier on in the season, because he had been injured like 2 or 3 times early on in the year. And they're just like, okay, well, we have to chill until he gets better. But yeah, long story short, I do think this is part of their offense. It should be part of their identity because it is, like you said, what makes him special. He's a 6'5", 235-pound guy who can run a 4.3. Like, let's use that.
Yeah. And there's kind of like another version of that at running back. Like they need to be using the two of them in the run game as much as possible. They couldn't even run Jonathan Taylor last week. Texans really shut them down. They need to do that to be able
twins.
to win. Yeah.
6'4", 240 is two of me. The other thing, I just want to read these line stats again because they make me happy. Franchise record 645 yards last week for the Lions. 645 yards. I can't get over that number. And they have a rushing touchdown in 24 straight games, which again is the longest streak in the history of the NFL. 24 straight games with a rushing touchdown. That is unreal.
They've scored 40-plus points in 4 out of 7 of their last games.
Dan Campbell, first of all, Dan Campbell's an animal because he was asked this week basically about like running up the score and like, should you take your starters out? Dan Campbell's like, been asked that 3 times this year. That's probably a good sign.
Totally.
And he was like,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, quit asking me. But then Chris Christie, who's the New Jersey governor, who's a huge Cowboys fan, he said that it was classless that they ran up the score in Dallas, and Dan Campbell had that. We haven't talked about this, but Dan Campbell's like, the last time I got called classless, I was drinking wine out of the bottle.
Dude, this is, I love Dan Campbell. Obviously, we all love him. But again, this goes back to my thing. Like, stop complaining when you get your ass kicked about like running the score up. It's the softest thing. It's so weak. Stop complaining about it. Go back to work.
Is it more classless that the Lions ran the score up on the Cowboys, or is it more classless that the Cowboys stadium is collapsing on the fans and the team?
It's trying to kill the people on the field and blind their opponents. That sounds classless to me. They're like, we were going to blind the opponents, but we're blinding ourselves. Like,
was it classy when Jerry Jones was threatening to fire the radio host because they were asking questions that were too mean?
Why have you set the record for 20-point deficits at home consecutively? Anyway, the one thing I want to say about the Lions, offense is pristine health-wise, knock on wood. The defense keeps losing guys, and a sneaky person I want to shout out. Alex Anzalone, the linebacker for the Lions. He is the one who looks like a Targaryen, like the big flowing locks in the middle of their defense.
Blonde hair coming out.
Yeah, he broke his arm last week. Huge injury because Alex Anzalone is the epitome of like an underrated injury. He has played for Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, for 7 years. He's the green dot, but he's kind of like Aaron Glenn's brain on the field, and he's the one. Anzalone's the guy telling everyone where to be, who to do.
Yeah, explain the green dot for people that don't know.
Yeah, so like thank you. That's a perfect jargon that people just throw out. And he's the radio communication with Aaron Glenn. So the defensive coordinator,
he's the quarterback,
is talking to Anzalone, and Anzalone tells everyone. But his job's to understand the defense, and he's telling everyone what to do. So when Zadarius Smith, who just got traded there 2 weeks ago, doesn't know what to do.
Go stand over there.
He's like, oh, do that. Sit there. You know what I mean? He's the one who actually, it's not like always like the NFL stuff's always complicated, but it's more like you have 3 seconds to get that right or we're going to give up a touchdown. And we just changed our plan and like they're snapping the ball in 2 seconds. And Anzalone's the guy who's fixing everyone and making sure no one screws anything up. He's hurt. It'd probably come back for the playoffs, but Lions defense status check. They're down 3 defensive ends, including both starters, Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport, and the backup defensive end. And now they're down 2 linebackers, Anzalone and Derek Barnes. That is just not something you usually say about a team that wins the Super Bowl, is they're down 4 of their front 7 players. That's my one red flag with Detroit. I don't know if that's going to come out this week against the Colts, but I don't love that for Detroit.
That could be like the one thing that kind of throws this whole thing off.
It makes everyone worse. That's what I don't like. Everyone is worse at their job when the guy who has the most experience in the system is not on the field anymore. That's the problem.
Are you smelling a little Costanza here?
This to me is the definition of a Costanza right here. No one thinks the Lions are going to lose this game.
And also, to your point about the Costanza, you have to be like betting on it. The definition of a Costanza
earlier this
to me,
should be a 23-point line.
It's true.
So probably this is the Costanza.
Yeah. The definition of a Costanza to me is that if my dad calls me and says, Daddy, we got to bet this. There's no way this loses. That bet always loses.
Right.
And like that will be the Lions this week.
I feel like we should bet the Colts money line and then also the Lions minus 21.5. And one of those will hit.
Pays out.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh my God. All right. The rest of this game sucks so much. The Patriots are playing the Dolphins. I don't care. No offense to Carlos, who's wearing a Jalen Waddle jersey until they lose. But
how dare you?
DK, how's Drake May doing? I feel like he played really well last week and then lost, which is perfect.
Yeah, he's been doing great. I mean, there's definitely a few like Jordan Love-esque plays. There, like there's a little bit of
derogatory.
Hucks it up there. Yeah, I mean, statistically and stylistically, I think there's some similarities there. Like they're both pretty aggressive passers, and they're not afraid to chuck it into like coverage. They believe in their guys.
When he's compared to Jordan Love, it's derogatory, but then he's also always compared to Josh Allen, and that's complimentary.
But I also like, I think Jordan Love is good. Like, I believe in Jordan Love. I just think there's plays here and there where he's like,
inside you, there are two wolves, and one is Rodgers and one is Favre.
I mean, I have pretty much the same opinion of like Geno Smith. I'm like, Geno Smith, I think he's a really, really good quarterback, but also stop throwing picks, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how a lot of quarterbacks are. There's very few that are like really, really good and never.
It's very similar to an NBA player where it's like the amount of confidence required to be one of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the world is also the kind of person that you can't tell them that's a bad shot.
Right.
They're like, but I'm the greatest player on earth. Like, it's hard to convince that person that they shouldn't do something.
Yeah. So Craig said it. He gets compared to Josh Allen. We were just talking about Anthony Richardson. Like, I think Drake May has been. He was underrated for this during the draft period, I think a little bit, even though I know we did talk about it quite a bit, but he can like run around a little bit, and he's been running a lot. He is actually right now, he's according to PFF second in run grade behind only Josh Allen. He has scrambled on 11.2% of his dropbacks according to NFL Pro. That's second in the NFL. And even though he didn't start until week 6, he's fourth in the NFL in scramble yards among quarterbacks. He has 261 scramble yards. He averages over 10 yards a scramble. So basically, long way of saying he's really good and dynamic as a runner, and he's been using his leg. He's not afraid to scramble when things break down in the pocket, which is often because this offensive line isn't that great and the receivers aren't very good at separating. So I saw this from Ian Hartitz actually, and I was like, damn, this is kind of, I think it puts it into like perspective or context of like what kind of quarterback he could be. Right now, he's averaging 238 passing yards and 40 rushing yards per game in 5 starts this year. The quarterbacks that have gone over 230 passing and 40 rushing in a season in NFL history: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Cam Newton, Kyler Murray, Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham. So like that's the group. I guess if you're like trying to like put him in a type of like a category as a quarterback, like he could be in that category. He might not end up rushing for that many yards, long term, but I think the bottom line is he can do it, and it makes their defense makes their offense much more dynamic, much more difficult to defend. So I don't know. I've been really encouraged with Drake May, even though, like I said, he's had a few like head scratchers, probably shouldn't have forced that pass or whatever. But overall, feeling very, very good about him right now.
Yeah, Drake May has this perfect kind of weekly tradition of playing really great for like 3.5 quarters and
until the last play
blowing
of the game.
losing the game, but you still kind of take away all the positive stuff that he's shown you throughout the game, and you're like, all right. He kind of knows that he's trying to get that receiver from Arizona or something. Like he knows what he's doing.
Right.
Because my God, they have maybe other than the Panthers, the Patriots have the worst wide receivers in the league. Yeah, these guys get no separation. It doesn't look like Jalen Polka's doing anything great. I mean, you got like Kendrick Bourne and Demario Douglas is fine, but like there is no one really that Drake May can work with.
Kayshon Boutte is playing the most snaps for them.
Boutte, yeah. You have Hunter Henry, I guess, is doing all right, but like I know that when you rebuild a team, the Lions taught you that like you should not go after big splashy wide receivers and you should like start build from within, offensive line, whatever. But like if the Patriots have the 4th pick in the draft and that kid from Arizona is there, I'm going to be like, man, I'll be thinking about that a lot. Yeah.
Tet McMillan,
yeah.
He looks great. He's like big and fluid and fast.
Like they should probably get a left tackle, right? That's what we learned. You should get a Penei Sewell.
This is the Jamar Chase versus Penei Sewell thing, right?
Turns out they're both going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Next game, we have the Bucs are at the Giants. I mean, dude, the Giants, thank God, officially tanking, just like the Patriots. Daniel Jones.
Heifetz, did you see Daniel Jones's press conference today?
Yeah, it was very classy.
It was really classy.
Very classy, and I also think that, like, if you haven't seen it, you can watch it.
Chris Christie loved it. It was so classy.
Chris Christie loved it. It was super classy. I think that, I'm not kidding when I say this. I think 1/3 to 1/2 the reason the Giants drafted him was because he's like that.
Yeah.
And his personality seems so quarterbacky and so like Eli Manning cosplay, and now he can just do Eli Manning impressions at birthday parties, that like they kind of were like, this guy reminds us of our last quarterback, but he sucked. But yeah, he was gracious in defeat. And he was all for death or exile.
It's funny. His press conference was almost as if he was like retiring.
I know.
Yes, it really was. He'd like, thank you to New York. And he basically,
I know. I was like, man, it's not over. Like Tommy DeVito could get hurt. I don't know. It's like, he was basically like, you're never going to see me again.
Yeah. And another reason I just have, I'm sorry, no respect for Derek Carr whatsoever, is that when the Saints did this to him, he was like, I'm just not going to show up anymore. when the Raiders did that to him, he's like, I'm not going to come to work. And Daniel Jones is like, well, and they're like, why? Because he was at like safety for scout team. And when that gets aggregated, he's not actually playing safety. He's like a traffic cone for a drill, which like Brian Dable's son is doing this too. It's not like disrespectful. It's like, you're standing there, we need help. But he's doing it. And I actually respect him a lot they were asked, why are you participating? You could just not show up anymore. He was like, yeah, I mean, I still work here. You do what you're told. And I was like, I don't know. I really respect him. I really think he'll be like, I think he has 12 years left as a backup quarterback. He is going to
be a beloved backup on like a very good team next year. He's going to be the backup for Jared Goff on the Lions, and he's going to be great.
And he's smart. Our buddy Nate Tice, who DK, you mentioned, the freakishly large dad hands of his father.
Yeah, Nate's got big hands too.
Nate's got big hands. His dad's got huge hands. But Nate talks about this all the time. I think Daniel Jones's problem is that he's like incredible on a whiteboard on like Monday mornings about what went wrong, and sometimes even on the sideline. But he just that next leap to like, can you do it in the moment? No, and like that's another reason he'll be a great backup. Like he can help tape prep, he can help you study. I really think he's got 10 years left as a backup. But
I think he's like a really almost ideal backup, honestly.
He is.
Because he can run around too. So like if you come in and, you know, for like he could back up any type of quarterback.
He's a great Deion Waiters backup where he comes in, wins 2 games, and everyone's like, should he be the starter? That's going to happen 3 more times in his career.
Just like it happened with Tommy DeVito. And everyone's going to do the emoji again. Did you guys see Stephen Ruiz's tweet this week? That was like, this wasn't real, but people were like, oh, I wonder if they're not starting Drew Lock because they owe him like $250,000 for like every game he starts. And Steven quote tweeted it with the Joker in The Dark Knight rolling down the pile of, it's like John Mara with the money, and it's the Joker rolling down the pile of money, and he's like, where's the Italian?
Oh, man.
Carlos, what are the odds you have that?
Where's the Italian?
Well done.
Well played.
I have a
question. Did I don't know how this works. Did the beat like ask for Daniel Jones to be in a presser, or did he ask to do a presser? Because
the team's wanted to talk to him. He's the starting
quarterback. The team's not
quarterback.
putting up a third string quarterback.
But he did like prepare a eulogy. Like he kind of like he had a written statement ready to go. It was like a whole goodbye ceremony. Almost.
It was like The Wire with the Irish wake. They put you on the pool table, and it was pretty brutal.
Jesus,
it was.
It's like from The Wire.
It was, yeah. You know The Wire where they do that.
Anyway, the spread in this game is 5.5, which shocks me. I think the Bucs are going to win by 20.
Yeah. So, and Mike Evans is back for Tampa Bay probably this week. So Tampa, they're really 3 games back in the NFC South. So if they don't win this, they're going for a wild card. Like they're because they lost both games to Atlanta and they're 2 games behind. So that's like 3. So huge game for Tampa, and also the Giants.
The Bucs have. I mentioned this on a show previously. The Bucs have such an easy schedule. They get the Giants this week, Panthers next week, Raiders, Chargers, which is tough. Cowboys, Panthers, Saints.
Mike Evans back.
God, there's such poetry to this because Daniel Jones' first appearance as a Giant was against Tampa Bay, and now it's like the end of his Giants career, so it's kind of crazy. Next up, RIP. Next up, bring me the Italian.
Wait, I wanted to see what are the odds for the Bucs to win the NFC South? I think they're not favored.
They're down 3.
They're plus 350, and the Falcons are minus 370.
But that's because they're down 2 games, and Atlanta won both the head-to-head games, so they're down 3 games. So they have to get a 4-game. They have to. There's 7 weeks left.
Yeah.
So they'd have to go like if they go 5-2, Atlanta has to go 2-5. That's the problem.
Wait, what? Don't they? What's the records?
They're 4. The Falcons have 6 wins. The Bucs have 4, but the Falcons beat Tampa twice.
Yeah, but the Bucs just have to have a better record by 1 win. They just need one more win than the Falcons. Why?
They have to have a better record by 1, but they're down 2. That's 3.
Yeah, not 4.
What did I say?
4. I'm just saying, like, I with the schedule that DK just laid out, and with like the way the Falcons are playing, I feel like this is a decent bet. The Falcons play the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Commanders, 3 of their next 5 games. Well, I don't know. I think plus 350. I'd maybe throw a little something at that. Couple units.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right, next game here. We have the Cowboys playing the Commanders. Washington's favored by 10.
When's the last time the Commanders were double-digit favorites over the fucking Cowboys?
That's a good question. Honestly, it's probably been 30. You know what? It's probably been 40 years.
40?
Probably Joe. It's probably Joe Gibbs because the Cowboys were good in the 90s. Like you'd probably have to go to like the mid 80s. Like the Hogs with John Riggins. But I'm not going to lie, I'll be really concerned for Washington if they cannot control this game.
Yeah, this is a get-right spot for sure.
Yes, yes, this is the definition of get-right game. Dallas can't do anything. They can't throw. They can't run. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. And honestly, for all the talk about John Bones Fossil being some special teams coach, the special teams kind of suck, honestly. And so this is a huge week for Cliff of like the Cliff Kingsbury teams falling off a cliff in the middle of the season. Cliff. Kingsbury literally said, shout out Sam Fortier, my guy at the Washington Post, and Sam tweeted this out, that Cliff Kingsbury basically just said at his press conference today that he was calling plays differently when Jaden Daniels was banged up. Yeah. And like sometimes coaches leak that. Cliff just said it at his press conference. Just
tweeted it out.
And just tweeted it out. And so if things don't get better, it's concerning. I don't even know if I believe in Washington if they crush Dallas, but if they don't crush Dallas, that's a huge concern.
Yeah, they should run all over. They should run for 220 yards in this game.
Yeah, they really should. So, all right. Speaking of which, the Chiefs are playing the Panthers this week. What would you bet that the Chiefs win this game?
What do you
like
mean?
Maybe not money, but like you wouldn't bet your life or like your mortgage, but like wouldn't bet your house.
Say it like that.
But
yeah. No, I would not bet my fucking house on it.
Would you, DK, you wouldn't bet would you bet your house to get a second house in return? No?
Yo, really? What? Dude,
no, this is why we have the fucking Costanza Bet every week.
You would not bet your house to get a whole second house for free.
I'm not betting my fucking house on
the Panthers.
That's plus EV. Dude, that's why they call it one unit.
I'm actually kind of shocked.
Put a unit on it.
Do you want me to like play a part and say, yes, I would bet my house this game is
because the money line.
No,
the money
I'm not
line for
bet
them
my
to win,
fucking house.
But the money line's minus 500. So like if the actual odds were like, oh, you bet a house, you get an extra room.
Exactly.
That's a bad bet. But if you get a whole house, that's like an even money bet on the. That's good. Come on, DK, this is real estate 101.
We're not offering you another 100 square feet. We're offering you a full house.
Get a whole
You're
house.
offering this to me? Wow, that's really nice of you. Wow.
I'll give you my condo if the Chiefs beat the Panthers, but if the Panthers win, you got to give me your house.
I like this. This is great. Come on, DK. DK, this is like the bet of a lifetime.
What's gotten into you guys?
Trying to get me a lifetime.
Heifetz, do you own a car? Do you have a car in DC?
I have a car. Yeah, I have a car. I'll bet my car.
Would you bet your car to win a second car for free?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, because that's even money. Like
Panthers
this is like getting an extra
game.
row in the car.
The Panthers are not going to win.
The hubris right now. This reminds me of in Dumb and Dumber when he's like, I'll bet you $50 by the end of the day. I get you betting. He's like, you're on.
Yeah.
You're like double or nothing.
The Chiefs coming off
betting my
loss?
fucking house on an NFL game. I don't care what the odds are.
You're nuts. You're nuts.
Dude, that's crazy.
I'm nuts for not betting my house.
I'm
on
essentially
an NFL
offering
game.
you a free house, and you're denying.
Do you want a free house? And you're like, in this economy,
I want to shake you guys right now.
You're gonna watch
Heifetz,
4 minutes of that
on.
game, and you're gonna be like, I should have taken that bet.
Ah, damn it,
Greg. You want to bet a car? I'll bet my car.
This Chiefs team it's going to come down to the fucking fourth quarter or something. I bet.
Is this the Costanza?
I would have to sweat it out.
Is this the Costanza? I don't think it is. It. What's the spread?
Is this the Costanza? You just want me to bet my house on it?
Minus one house is the spread.
I can't wait to get on Sunday.
What's the square foot on this bet right now?
I'm offering you 2,800 square feet.
2,800? Wow. Okay.
Pretty good. The Chiefs are favored by 11. It's like 3 points lower than
minus 650. Yeah. That's like square footage. That's that's how much she'll be down.
Christ.
Oh my God.
You gotta live a little, DK. Live on the edge. Makes you feel alive.
Today I learned DK terrible with real estate. Won't even bet his house.
God, I was just like trying to picture like telling Skippy, by the way, we got to move.
We lost.
Babe, they were minus 650, okay? Anybody would have done that.
It was a can't lose situation. Craig was offering me 2,800 square feet.
For even odds?
Dude, my grandfather won a house my great-grandfather won a house in a poker game.
A house?
Yeah. A beach house. It was like 100 years ago. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Was that like when houses cost like $12,000 though?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, the country they haven't even found everywhere yet. Yeah,
was it like an impulsive thing where they had been playing for 5 hours and at the very end the other guy was like, "Fuck it, I'll put the deed to my house," or was that always? Wow.
Yes, that is what happened.
Nice.
Great.
Was it a good house?
I've never been there. They lost.
How are the neighbors?
In a divorce to the Gumar got it.
I gotta say, shouts out to the guy for actually giving up the deed to his house.
I know, right? Shouts out.
I would have
But
probably.
back then they had so many fucking houses to give out. You know what I mean? Like it's 100 years ago, they're like, you get a house. Yeah, you get a house. Yeah, costs like college tuition. All right, what's the next game here? Now we're through that early spread, which is disgusting. Oh no, so there's one more. Titans Texans are still also in the early spread. Man, I can't think of a quarterback I like to watch more than Stroud versus a quarterback I hate watching more than Will Levis.
Although Will Levis is like more fun to watch than Stroud.
That's
Stroud.
Yeah.
Stroud has been so frustrating. Good. You want to hear Levis versus Stroud stats? Since Levis has been back, he's outscored Stroud in fantasy football. CJ Stroud hasn't scored more than 12 points in a game since week 6.
Stroud low-key's as bad of a fantasy pick as quite like as disappointing as you could have had.
Like sneaky bomb.
Yeah, sneaky disappointing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a movie that's like sneaky bomb, but yes. Argyle, that Apple movie, I don't know. But
what was that?
You remember that Argyle movie? It came out.
I don't remember that movie on Apple. No one remembers anything Apple's ever made.
I think it also premiered in theaters, and then it went to Apple. But it was with like Dua Lipa was in the trailer.
The Superman guy.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, sure. It was directed by Matthew Vaughn, who like has made a bunch of stuff, and people thought Taylor Swift secretly wrote the script. Anyway, the movie was like a massive bomb.
Wait, I'm sorry. There's a movie on Apple where Taylor Swift was accused of secretly writing a script.
People thought that she potentially wrote the script, yes, but she did not.
Do you know how I know that I'm almost 30?
How?
I know the difference between Argyle, Plaid, and Gingham.
What? Can you explain Gingham?
The Gingham table on the British Bake Off where they do the technical challenges. That's Gingham.
But what? But like, tell
Gingham,
me,
isn't it just like it's just like whatever? Not plaid, but cross. What is it? What's this called?
I can't just. It's like porn. I can't describe it, but I know it when I see
it. Lots and lots of T's. It's like a graph. it's like a grid paper.
T's.
A graph paper.
It's like Shaq with that meme where it's like timeout. That's Gingham.
If you Google gingham, it says it's fabric typically with tartan (parentheses plaid, striped, or check duotone patterns).
Check is what I was looking for.
Checkered,
but not checkered.
Not checkered. Checked.
Right. Checked. Whatever. You know what it's like.
Checkered's only used tartan. In like parentheses derogatory. It's like a checkered past. It's never like complimentary.
Gingham and plaid are technically not all that different then.
No.
But they are. You can see the difference.
I don't know. Whatever. It is the holidays. Gingham and plaid and all these things are very, very popular. Right
anyway, Levis sucks. And I will say again, no offense to Bobby Slowick, but the Texans offense needs someone other than Bobby Slowick running it next year.
I got to say, the Texans are laying 8 in this game. 8 points is a lot to lay against a Titans defense that is sneaky decent. They're giving up the second least amount of yards per game in the league. They're like not a good team. Obviously, they're very sloppy.
You cannot run on the Titans.
The Titans team the first month had given up the most points ever among teams. They were giving up the fewest yards in the league, but somehow we're giving up a ton of points. But you can't actually gain yards against the Titans. Only points. I don't understand how that works, but it's true.
You know how? It's because Levis turns the ball over in their own territory constantly.
Dude, wait, did you see his quote this week?
It's a really
I meant
good
to bring this up. Levis was asked, do you see any improvement? Honestly, I'm not going to lie. This might be the first time on this show I get like Ballsack Sports or something where this was a made-up quote. I have to double-check this now before I say it.
Ballsack
But well, you know, the fake Adam Schefter on Twitter that's memeing you. Oh, now I want to check. He said...
Ballsack Sports.
Will Levis literally said this week, did you see any improvement in the offense? And Will Levis was like, well, I'm not throwing the ball underhanded or with my left arm. So, yes. Now that sounds fake.
That's got to be fake, dude.
Shit, I did get it.
Yeah, that's
underhanded. No, there's no way.
I just don't know if I'm willing to lay 8 points. Also,
I think this is the Costanza.
Also, the Texans games, I got this from Anthony DeBundo, our fellow Ringer employee.
No, there's a video of it. No, you know where we're at? I saw a video of it. I don't know if the video's AI or not, though. That's where we're at.
Who's taking the time to make a Will Levis AI video of him talking about his upcoming game versus the Texans?
You can't tell if it's AI? Their mouth looks all weird.
It would have to be very, very well done.
Yeah.
And I doubt whatever model they're using, they're spending their time on Will Levis, but who knows?
We'll see. Well,
but anyway, DeBundo, stat from him, the Texans are 7-2-1 towards the under this season. Like they're always underscoring. And against the Titans, 8-point spread? Like I'm not taking that.
Yeah. I agree. Late games, we mentioned 49ers Packers. The other one, DK Cardinals Seahawks, which is a massive game for the NFC.
This is a big game for the Seahawks. They could, I think, be tied for first place if they win this. First of all, the Seahawks facility this week, after the Northwest was hit by a bomb cyclone, which is essentially effectively a hurricane in the Pacific Ocean. They don't call any storms in the Pacific hurricanes, I guess. It's a cyclone. But a bomb cyclone hit this region and knocked out power to a bunch of the areas. There's like 60-mile-an-hour winds in Seattle. There was like 100-mile-an-hour winds off of Vancouver Island. It was kind of crazy. A bunch of trees came down. But anyways, the VMAC, the Seahawks facility, does not have power, no hot water, no food. Film rooms are not running. They still have iPads, of course. But basically, the Seahawks are going old school this week. Whiteboards, running around with generator power.
It's like a movie montage where actually everyone's going to lock in.
I know. I kind of, that's what I was going to say. I kind of think like this is like good for the Seahawks. They're locked in. This is like the old way of doing things, you know?
I have like a backwards like desire to be like stripped of all of my possessions and like have forced to live in the woods for a week. Yeah. That sounds kind of fun. Like to be in an apocalypse movie for like a week sounds fun to me.
You just want to be one of those.
It sounds fun until you get cold and hungry.
Yeah.
Then those parts suck. Or like hunted by like zombies or something.
DK, who's going to win this game?
What's the spread? I think I kind of feel like the Seahawks are going to win, which makes me nervous.
Spread per FanDuel in this game is the Cardinals are favored by 1 point in Seattle. I will say the Seattle home field's disappeared. The Seahawks
it's non-existent.
It's non-existent. The home field advantage, like no one's afraid to play there anymore. It's not a thing.
It's a bummer. But just from a team point of view, I think the Seahawks could match up pretty well with this team. The Seahawks they have like their offensive line has kind of like been shaken up over the last couple of weeks. Abe Lucas, who was injured for most of the season, is back at right tackle. He didn't play the full game last week, but he was rotating in. He looked pretty good. They have a new center because Connor Williams abruptly retired.
Dude, we didn't tell that. That's wild. The center, your center just retired in the middle of the year. He'd started 9 games.
Yeah, that was a weird situation, especially considering like.
Speaking of, I kind of have an announcement to make.
Great. Have you been missing a lot of snaps lately and snapping them over quarterback's foot to like fuck up a 4th down play? Their new center, Oluwatimi, he performed really well in his first game, actually. So there's like some encouragement there. I think, and most importantly, the Cardinals have the 3rd lowest pressure rate in the NFL. Like if you give Geno enough time, I think he can pick you apart. And I think if the Seahawks can do a pretty decent job of protecting Geno Smith in this game, I think their offense is going to play well. So that's why I kind of feel good about this. But of course, I think the Cardinals have just like out of control good vibes right now. So it could be one of those games where the Cardinals are just, they're just a little pluckier than I imagined. And they might actually be a really good team here.
Yeah, this is also the Brady game, I believe. So excited for that.
Oh, yeah, wait. Craig, do you want to give us a little preview of Seahawks Cardinals and Tom Brady?
Give me like talking about Kyler Murray playing in the pocket or something.
Kyler Murray, KB, he can run around, extend plays. Great call, KB. He can really extend plays. Something I could not really do in my career. He is a real game changer out there, KB. Great call. All right. 3rd and 4. Coming up.
So cynical.
What do you mean so cynical? That's too accurate. It doesn't say anything.
It's crushing because
Michael Wilson got that big body, posts up, gets his hands in there, catches the ball, brings it in. Great catch by Michael Wilson. Okay.
It's funny because it's true.
Oh my God. He sounds like the stereotype of like at the high school auditorium where like the kid, like in a movie where someone has to talk in front of a microphone and they're really nervous. Like it sounds like he's an AI who's been trained on only those kinds of videos.
He's like if Magic Johnson tweets were a person.
Yes, 100%. Really like that. That was a really impressive win. They won 101-79. They blew them out.
The Los Angeles Lakers beat the Los Angeles Clippers 101-94. LeBron James scored 27 points in the win. Okay.
Thanks, Magic. Oh my God, that's
dude!
so good.
For people who don't know this, the Magic Johnson Twitter is incredible. Like, here, look, like literally last week, Thursday football. Looking forward to watching my Commanders play the Eagles tonight! Exclamation point.
It's so earnest. I actually really like it.
Really looking forward to watching my Commanders play the Eagles, KB. Same thing.
I had a great time back at my alma mater with the Hall of Fame coach Tom Izzo and the MSU squad.
Dude, did you see Brady posted on his Instagram story like his 3 best players of the week? And it's him sitting in front of a camera talking about his 3 favorite performances of week 11, which it's weird because he put the video out on a Wednesday. So it's like 3 days late. But he's like talking about Taysom Hill. And it's literally just being like, Taysom Hill, 197 yards, 3 touchdowns, got the Saints the win. The Saints are a different team with Taysom Hill. Like, what is this?
And then he has the commercial where he's like the Michigan Tom Brady and the Patriots Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's like gearing up for war to be an announcer. The whole thing is super weird.
We should do a bit where it's like that commercial, but then we add you in as the Tom Brady, the announcer, and he sucks.
He steps right into the booth.
Oh my God.
I'm just dying about the Michael Wilson. That big body, he reaches out with his hands, grabs the ball, secures it. Great catch, KB.
Thanks, Tom.
Oh my God. All right, next game, Broncos Raiders. The Broncos are just rocking their pathetic schedule, man. The Broncos beat the Jets 10-9 in the rain. They beat the Raiders without Devontae Adams, beat the Saints when they were missing 9 starters. They beat the Panthers. They dominated the Falcons last week. And
you know what the Broncos are? The Broncos are like a Midwest 10.
Yeah.
You know, and then they move to LA and they become a 6. That's what's going to happen when the Broncos make the playoffs.
The Broncos, look, many things are true. Sean Payton's a great coach, and Vince Joseph, the defensive coordinator, who actually doesn't get enough credit for, like, he was the head coach of the Broncos. And then
that's also bizarre to me.
98% of coaches would
it's
never
like Pete Carroll coming back and play it, like being a defensive coordinator or something.
The humility to do that, I can't actually say it enough. Like almost nobody who's ever been a head coach would go back to where they were head coach as a coordinator. It is almost nobody would do it. Vince Joseph did it, and honestly, maybe the biggest reason the Broncos are winning is because of that defense and Vince Joseph deciding to do that.
I do want to put on the record now that I did just shit on the Broncos, but I actually love Sean Payton and what he's doing, and I'm a big supporter. And I do think if the Broncos play the Steelers in the playoffs, the Broncos are going to win that game.
Yeah.
Putting that out there now.
Okay. Really early reverse jinx there. Okay.
Not a reverse jinx. That's how I feel.
No, the Broncos.
The Broncos are 10th in DVOA, which accounts for schedule. I think they're a pretty solid team.
Sunday Night Football. Eagles are playing the Rams.
I think this is the game of the year. Like, if we're giving game of the year to one game this week, I think it's this game more than Niners-Packers, personally.
Agreed.
What do you make of this game, DK?
So, first of all, the Eagles, I was looking at their schedule. They're on a roll, but the teams they've beaten outside of the Commanders last week, before that, it was Packers, Saints, Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jags, Cowboys. So, I don't know if they have any signature wins this year necessarily. Beating the Commanders is important. But the 2 teams they've lost to, the Falcons and Buccaneers. I think this is their biggest challenge since week 1 against the Packers. And the Rams right now, I think, like, according to DVOA, they're middling, but I think when they're healthy, when they have Puka, Kupp, and Stafford in the lineup and healthy, like, this is a really good offense. This is a really hard team to beat. And they can kind of, like, I think they can score, they can go punch for punch with pretty much any team. The Rams can. And actually, when all 3 of those guys are healthy, Puka, Kupp, and Stafford, they have the 5th highest pass rate of any team in the NFL in that stretch. So, like, they're a very, very pass heavy team when those guys are healthy. And then to contrast that, the Eagles are the highest rush rate team in the NFL right now. They've gone super run heavy of late. And in particular, in the second half, Saquon Barkley is like their finisher. It's insane. I saw the stat from NFL Pro. Barkley has gained plus 309 yards over expected in second half runs in games this year. Like, he is just putting teams away. This offensive line, Jalen Hurts right next to him, like, the weapons that they have, like, defenses are faced with almost like an impossible decision, and Saquon is, like, taking advantage of it. Is incredible. He has all these, like, explosive breakaway runs. Sorry, Heifetz, I know this is, like, hard to listen to, but, like, he really does, like, change their offense. It's really cool to see. So I think this is, like, a fun schematic matchup with, like, the most run heavy team versus, like, one of the more pass heavy teams. And it'll be fun to kind of see how this goes. The other thing I think that's interesting real quick is both of these teams, we mentioned this last week, both of these teams have just remade their defenses like in 1 year, essentially. Well, not defenses, but like sections of their defense. So like the Rams, they lost Aaron Donald and they drafted Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. And now their defense has like the highest pressure rate of any defense in the NFL. Like losing Aaron Donald and you're still the #1 team in pressure rate, that's incredible. And then on the other side of the ball, you know, last year the Eagles had a terrible defensive secondary. They drafted Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and now their defense is really balling out. So I think just like tip of the cap to these guys for like filling the holes in their team and like immediately getting results.
The Rams are a team that really rise to the occasion, I feel like. When they play good teams, they can really compete. I mean, they put up 30 on the Vikings and beat the Vikings this year. Mm-hmm. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Niners. So I'm very curious to see after they beat the Patriots last week, the Rams, and the week before that, they had that terrible game against the Dolphins. Eagles D over the last month is the best D in the league. I mean, statistically, it's not even close. They're giving up 128 passing yards a week. And in fantasy,
that's wild.
It's a disaster. They're the second hardest defense for quarterbacks, the 6th hardest for running backs, the #1 hardest for wide receivers, and the 4th hardest for tight ends. Like, there is no room to budge in fantasy when you're starting these guys against the Eagles. JJ Zachariason pointed out on his podcast, since week 5, they've allowed one wide receiver to rank higher than wide receiver 40 in a week. And now
now we got Kupp and Puka.
Kupp and Puka Nacua. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
There are a couple teams that like rebuilt their defense on the fly over a couple off seasons. One is the Chiefs, and like in 2 drafts, they just got like 14 players deep in a couple drafts almost. And the other are the Eagles and the Rams. Like the Eagles and Rams just totally rebuilt their defenses back into like real contention status, with like a couple drafts and some really off-season savvy moves. And it's infuriating. And it sucks. Like it sucks to watch the Eagles have Jalen Carter, some bamboozling into getting the best player in that draft. And then they got Cooper DeJean and they have Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell is I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be like an all-pro cornerback.
He's like already one of the best corners in the NFL.
It's so stupid because it was so predictable. And I hate the Eagles so much. They've taken so much from me. And the Rams are cool. I think that these teams, in so many ways, we're like in a post-program era of football, where Tom Brady, when he's actually, that's the funniest part of Brady is when he's not on a broadcast, he's very eloquent when he talks about football, where he's like complaining about Michigan and NIL and transfer portal, and he's like, you used to learn a program, now you learn a playbook. That's high school, that's college. Now it's the NFL. The teams that have programs left, the Lions have a program, they understand who they're drafting, how they're developing, how they're going to play them. The Harbaughs have that, and the Chargers and the Ravens. The Eagles and the Rams have programs. And one's because of McVay and Les Snead, and then the Eagles is just Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni. I don't know if he's even in the room. But like, I don't know. These are very impressive organizations overall.
Yeah.
Eagles have also not lost a game this year with A.J. Brown.
Yeah. Speaking of the Harbaughs, Monday Night Football, baby! HarBowl, Ravens Chargers. So the Ravens are playing the Chargers on Monday Night Football. I think my first takeaway from this game, forget this game for a second. I feel like everyone forgot that the HarBowl, where the Niners and the Ravens met in the Super Bowl, the Harbaugh brothers coach each other. Everyone kind of just forgot about that.
And not only have they forgotten about it, I totally agree. I don't think we collectively appreciate how insane that was, that two brothers grew up to coach NFL teams and face one another in the Super Bowl. Two brothers.
It was all we talked about, that Super Bowl.
Yes.
But like since then, it never gets brought up. It's pretty insane. Kind of can't believe that wasn't a movie. The power went out during the game.
One of the wildest games ever. The power went out for like a long time.
They were a long time, and then Colin Kaepernick had that pass. I think it was to Crabtree in the corner. It was like 4th and 5, and they were like 4 inches that passes off and like winning a Super Bowl. Absolutely, it was an insane game. And then Harbaugh went to Michigan, also lost a power struggle in San Francisco with Trent Baalke, of all people, who is now running the Jaguars into the ground.
What is that guy? Yeah, how does that guy do that?
I can't believe they did. I mean, the Niners took Harbaugh over him, or took Baalke over Harbaugh. Harbaugh goes to Michigan, 10 years, wins the championship. Now he's in the Chargers again. This is really fun, and I think the thing that I've realized, also, it's their parents' wedding anniversary. Their 63rd anniversary is this Monday game. That's how the NFL knows their scheduling.
Wow.
Yeah, 63rd wedding anniversary. And they're actually not going to be at the game. The parents are going to be like in Florida watching the game with the daughter, who's married to Tom Crean, the former Indiana basketball coach. And they're just a coaching family.
Who could have guessed? Yeah.
But when I look at, I don't know. I mean, we could get into the game if you want, but I kind of just can't get over this rival. Like, I think the thing I realized is like that HarBowl Super Bowl thing was so weird. This game's going to happen a lot. Like, I think that's the thing I realized. Chargers, Ravens, Lamar Jackson is 27. Justin Herbert is 26. And Jim Harbaugh has said like a bunch of times the last couple of weeks, I want to coach Justin Herbert. He's the last quarterback I ever want to coach. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that John and Jim Harbaugh could both be coaching Lamar and Herbert in these jobs for 10 years. They're in the AFC. Every year if the Chargers come in second in the division and the Ravens come in second in the division, they'll play again in the regular season next year. They might meet in the playoffs. We're going to get a bunch of these, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is funny that they could literally just play again in these playoffs. I mean, both these teams are probably going to make it. Neither team's going to win the division, so they'd have to win a game to probably play each other, but still, it's still possible.
So I also took some notes on the Harbaughs and the brothers. And the one story I love is that like Jim Harbaugh, when he was like, because obviously he was like younger brother, so he got the shit kicked out of him. And they were like when he was like an NFL quarterback, I forget Bears or Colts which time, he took the family on a beach vacation like old times and brought John out into the water, and because Jim's taller, and then like shoved him and like tried to drown John, and was basically like, I'm the older brother, I'm the captain now, bitch. And then John beat him in the Super Bowl. So he had 30. And so now that's really why Jim needs to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, man. You guys both have brothers. What's it like having a brother?
We both have older brothers, too.
Yeah, we both. Yeah. I actually think that's why Craig and I, that's like the core reason that we like yelling.
Deep down, we like yelling, and deep down, we grew up getting shit on and beat up.
Yeah.
Heifetz, did you ever have your dunk your older brother in the ocean moment? I've never really did.
Yeah. We used to fight, and then one time I won, and then we never fought again.
He gave up. Huge. Are you taller than him?
I am now. Goddamn right.
See, I'm not taller.
He's losing his hair.
Oh wow, you're really killing it.
Yeah, sorry. He's listening to this too, probably. So sorry, Michael. That was kind of a low blow. Sorry, I just kind of came out.
Classic brothers thing.
My brother is taller, stronger. Yeah,
huge hands,
bigger hands.
He's got the Kawhi Leonard hands. You can't beat him.
Yeah, just meat hooks for hands.
Yeah, sucks.
Meat hooks. I do think the Chargers win this game. The Ravens are playing sloppy. I know the Ravens are better on paper, but I kind of don't care.
How do you think Lamar's going to play in this game? I feel like I need him to have a big game for all my fantasy teams.
The Chargers haven't done great with like mobile quarterbacks. They've kind of been gashed by a bunch of mobile quarterbacks, and I think Lamar could do it.
I'm a big believer in good teams don't lose 2 games in a row, so I think I would take the Ravens.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. The Ravens been sloppy, man. We'll see. We'll see. This is gonna be a very fun game to watch. The other thing we have to talk about before we go, our old colleague Kevin Clark had Adam Schefter on his podcast. Our beloved Adam Schefter, and Kevin asked Schefter what's the weirdest place he has broken his story, and Adam Schefter basically said, "Sorry if you're in the car with kids. Pause here." Adam Schefter basically said, a girl was riding me and we had sex, and then I broke a story about his suspension for the Denver Broncos.
He said she was riding him?
He said she was on top.
Did he? I thought he just said I was sharing a night with a woman for the first time.
I think you saw an AI rendition of this Schefter.
Well, he said he said I continued lying there. He
did say, okay. Yeah, he did say I continued lying there. So confirmed Adam Schefter, dead fish.
Dead fish. I thought this was, I don't know. I basically,
he clarified later that it was after coitus. It was post-coital.
Sure. All I'm saying, every time ESPN introduces him anywhere, it's Adam Schefter, NFL Insider. And I can't unsee that now.
Insider? I barely know her.
I don't know.
Jay Glazer commented on it and was like, who hasn't, brother?
Jesus Christ.
I was like, what's going on?
Dude, it's the weird. I don't know. Dude, we all know too much about each other.
Right. What's the
I don't even know anything about Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
Do you think Schefter prefers certain positions that allow him to be on his phone?
He has to keep like one eye.
100%.
If he gets like a badge, he can like read it.
Dude, when Woj retired from ESPN and Schefter was like, look, man, it's so tough being in the shower, can't be off your phone, gotta have your phone in the shower at all times. It's brutal.
Yeah. Having sex, it's brutal.
It sucks to have sex and have to report about suspensions.
That's why his tweets are always screwed up. He's in the middle of sex.
That actually explains a lot. Oh my God. No wonder his grammar is so weird.
Weird commas everywhere. It's because he's using voice to text.
All the blood is elsewhere, not in his brain.
Yeah.
Right? God. I don't know what else to say about this.
No, me neither.
Well done. I like the insider thing. It's pretty funny.
Good on
Adam
Schefter. I respect
NFL
it.
Insider.
You know?
Congrats on the sex.
Congrats on the sex, Adam. All right. Should we get out of here?
Also, I wonder if his wife is like cool.
Dude, I know.
I know, right?
I know. I wonder if she was thrilled.
He paused for a long time before saying this.
He was not referring to his wife, correct? It was a different one.
I don't
wasn't
think so.
Wife? Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Because I'm almost positive based on the timeline.
But how do you think it would go if you live on a podcast talked about how a story where you were having sex with not your fiance?
Oh my God, dude. That's the thing. It's like when he paused, it's like there are two wolves inside of you. One wants everyone to know you had sex.
This is going to be good content.
The other is like you're going to tell millions of people about the time you had sex with someone who's not your wife.
And your daughter will see this within an hour.
Oh my God, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. He has kids, and they have Oh my God, remember Dylan Schefter? Maybe she's probably gone into hiding. My God. All right, we should probably get out of here now. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Carlos and Kai, for producing this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Email us at ringoffantasyfootball@gmail.com if you have fantasy court or trivia, and our rankings, fantasyfootball.theringer.com. If you have start-sit questions, fantasyfootball.theringer.com. We update that Sunday morning, and you can DM us on Instagram or also Ringer Fantasy Football, or also I'm Dan_Heifetz, and I'll do that on Sunday on Twitter. Start sit. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Genuine. Ride it, my pony. Just thinking Heifetz saying
stop.
Adam Schefter.
Do you think
Adam Schefter breaking news?
Oh God.
to Pony. Can we get like a clip of Pony going here?
Do you think Schefter's going to correct me?
Bow. That's how I'm going to picture Adam Schefter breaking news from now on.
Dude, he can't. I'm sure he looks so happy to say it in the moment. He has to regret it, right?
Nah.
No, I bet he does.
Get some street cred.
Yeah.
We're talking about it.
Yeah.
I'd do it again.
I'd do it again.
Fucking do it again.
Dude, that song. What is the name of that song, DK? The Pony song?
Pony.
It's just Pony?
That's going to be on the No Context Ringer Fantasy Football guy. He's going to have Pony.
That song sounds like sex more than any song ever, I think.
Agreed.
Well, that's part of the 1 second song playlist. It's it's a sex playlist.
Yeah. True.
Is that the next playlist we're going to make? The sex playlist?
The 1 second song sex playlist competition?
The 1 second, the 1 second song.
We'll know who has sex to music immediately.
All these songs take you directly to a moment in your life.
Yeah, what are these other 4 minutes and 23 seconds for? Yeah, that's weird.
Heyo.
Oh my God. All right. Oh yeah, you want that emails at Ringer Fantasy if you want the 1 second song playlist. I want to hash out with you guys at some point. We got to figure out when we're going to do that again.
Yeah, when are we going to play again?
But I want to figure out what the easiest song is to get in 1 second, because I've spent a lot of time with this, and I have a list of contenders that I think might be the easiest song. But I guess there's no definition of easy, but most widespread, I think, has to be.
Yeah, because it needs to be extremely popular and extremely recognizable within 1 second. Because it can't just be very...
And you can't fuck up the name of the title.
Because everyone knows that Who Knows the Song 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies, but that song is not that popular.
I agree. And no one knows the name popular. Of it. Everyone knows the song. I think the key is you can keep singing it, but no, it's a lot of people don't get the name of the song or Bare Naked Ladies. The one that I want to throw out might be number one.
Hey, babe, we're starting a band. No way. What are you going to call it? It was Chaz's idea. Hear me out. Bare Naked Ladies.
So ridiculous.
What kind of hear how they came up with that?
All right. You want me to play you what I think might be the number one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Don't Stop Believing. Good one.
I think that might be number one for like, let's Don't Stop Believing by Journey.
I was going to say something by like Michael Jackson. What's the most like instantly recognizable Michael Jackson song?
Oh, Thriller's pretty good because it starts with those horns.
Yeah,
like,
Thriller's really high up there.
Da-na-na. That's
it's a little cheating because
there's too much like weird, like
There's a preamble. Yeah,
the preamble's tough because if you start being like, we'll start at the 6-second mark. Now it's just famous songs.
Yeah,
it's a little tough.
That's a good call.
Anyway,
it's a good call.
All right, email SummerFantasyFootball@gmail.com if you have more 1-second songs. All right.
Wait, before we go, did you guys see they announced the Coachella lineup? How do you feel about it? Are you Heifetz? I know DK. Have you been to Coachella, DK?
I have not.
Heifetz, you lived in LA. Did you ever go?
I was going to go in 2020, and I can't really complain about it because people had much more worse problems in 2020. But that's my biggest
up there,
complaint.
dude. That sucks.
I was going to see Coachella in 2020, and that was like my thing. Everyone has their thing they were going to do in 2020 that like you can't complain about, but like because other people had real problems.
SDSU basketball. SDSU basketball was 31-2. They were going to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they canceled the tournament, and I wanted to jump off a bridge.
Richmond, best year for the A-10 it was ever going to be. Dayton was going to be the overall 1 seed, and then like the only sport that canceled the thing.
Yeah, it was Dayton and SDSU were 1 seeds, and I was,
Dude, Craig, you know who's playing at Coachella? The Circle Jerks. Remember that conversation?
Dude, I got to tell you, I'm not going to pretend to be like a really like deep cut music person. However,
you're going to say you don't know who any of these bands are?
I know. I've like heard of 10 total.
I'm including Lady You've Gaga. Heard of more than 10.
Dude, I'm looking at this first day of Friday.
Let's go through it.
Hold on. Question. I've never heard of this person, but I know who it is. What is it pronounced DJO or Djo or Joe? It's the kid from Stranger Things.
What?
I didn't even know that. So congrats to you.
DJO.
Dude, we're going to piss off so many people.
Heifetz, you know Lady Gaga, you know Missy Elliott.
Obviously, yes.
You know Benson Boone?
I don't know Benson Boone. Maybe I know the music.
Someone put me another shot of whiskey. Isn't that him? No, that's Shabuzi. Just kidding. That's Shabuzi.
Yeah, that's Shabuzi. He's doing the Thanksgiving halftime show.
Fuck. Who is Benson Boone?
I don't know.
No, I know Benson Boone.
Guy's screaming.
I don't know why I know Benson Boone.
I know Glorilla, but that's it. On that Friday, Gaga, Missy Elliott, and Glorilla. And
Benson, what about 3 6 Mafia? You know who that is.
Oh, 3 6 Mafia. Okay, yeah. But that's the point. There's 30 people on Friday. I don't know any of these people. Is Mustard DJ Mustard, or is it just Mustard?
Don't know. Benson Boone sings that song "Beautiful Things." You know that song.
Okay, I do know. Okay, all right. That's
by the way,
I will say maybe another music.
Joe.
Okay.
Kai says Mustard is DJ Mustard. So okay, that's cool. All right,
who else?
That's 5.
All right, keep moving. You know Green Day. You know Charlie XCX.
Green Day.
This is what I was saying about the music, and here's the thing about Coachella. I don't know. Does
Green
this
Day's
mean that
cool. This is cool.
Does this mean that Coachella's on the downswing?
Green Day's cool.
Dude, Green Day headlining Coachella is insane in 2020.
I was like obsessed with Green Day in like 7th grade.
So here's what I think they did. So Coachella famously did not sell out last year. It was kind of a mess. They literally were like giving away tickets at the end. They couldn't get people to go.
Is last year or the year before? When did Frank Ocean have the meltdown ice rink?
That was 2 years ago.
Okay.
That
crazy
was
thing.
Yes, 2023 where he like didn't show up. It was the whole thing. Last year was Lana Del Rey, Tyler the Creator, and Doja Cat. And they like didn't sell a lot of tickets. I think they're going after Lady Gaga and Post Malone are like Gen Z millennial hits. They play a lot of like that'll be good. But they always have to like mix in one like rock. It's always like an Arcade Fire, a Blink 182.
Oh no, wait. Does this mean that our generations? Is this like how the insurance commercials have our music in? I'm like, yeah, Lose the Child, the insurance commercial. And I'm like, oh, we're just old enough that now old. Green Day is the nostalgia play for us.
Yeah, and I think like Green Day on Saturday, it's like what? No 22-year-old's going to want to go see Green Day on a Saturday. So they paired Green Day with Charlie XCX, and I believe Travis Scott is also going to be Saturday. So that's like they're like trying to just capture every demographic.
What do you mean you believe Travis Scott's Saturday? How is he not on the poster?
He is on the poster.
It's the Design the Desert by Travis Scott.
I know. They're doing this thing now where there's like a bonus 4th headliner, but I believe somebody I talked to who's a reporter who reports on music said that he thinks that Travis Scott's going to be Saturday.
Speaking of like capturing all the generations, they also have T-Pain and 3 6 Mafia.
Yeah. Also, Shabuzi is at Coachella as well.
Where is he?
He's on Sunday. You know Megan Thee Stallion. You know Zed.
Yeah, Zed, Ty Dolla $ign, yeah. But here's the thing, though. This poster made me feel old Because I remember I used to know everyone on the first line of every day. And I'm looking at Saturday. We should do 2 truths and a lie with the fucking poster.
No, I agree. There's a lot here.
Look at this.
Yeah,
Saturday,
some of these I have no idea.
Kenna Music.
Don't know who
Above
that
and
is.
Beyond, Anita, Ivan Cornejo, Claro, and Epinephrine, and Nathan. I am sure there's so many people screaming right now that know these bands.
But like, I wonder if I go look at like, what year should I look at? Maybe 2016?
2018.
But there's always a bunch of randos too, right?
There's always look. There's a lot of people making music. Like, and you also
did you guys know that
you discover
that Joe Keery, the actor from Stranger Things, is like a musician also?
No.
And I think one of his songs you would definitely recognize.
No, you know what? I'm going to give us some credit. Even last year's, I know all these people. Like, I'm looking at last year's Coachella. The first line: Bad Bunny, Gorillaz, Chemical Brothers, Kaytranada, Blondie, Becky G, Metro Boomin. I know all those people on every day on the first line. So actually, am I out of touch? No, it's the youth who are out of touch.
Here, listen to this. Like, you recognize that, right?
I think. I don't know.
I recognize it. Anyway, yeah, that's the actor from Stranger Things, also known as Joe.
Anyway, I've never been to Coachella, and I might go this year.
Do it.
Liz and I are just like, look, who knows how long it's going to be until we have kids. You got to go before kids.
So
I'm
picking up
30
with
years
this last
old.
conversation, you never did psychedelics. Will you do psychedelics at Coachella?
I don't know.
He's just going to drink 15 beers and call it a day.
Which honestly is like the worst thing you can do in a desert.
Yes. Drink poison that requires water. Yeah.
But like this, I remember we were going to go last year and I was like, I didn't love the lineup. I think this lineup is good enough where I'm like, Gaga, I like Gaga. She'll play a ton of hits. She'll probably bring out people. Post Malone, ton of hits. Will bring out people like fan favorites. Green Day is kind of cool. I liked Green Day. Travis Scott, I'm fine with. It's all like solid for me. Like this is like a B plus.
Frankly, it's like you'll go and you'll discover a lot of music. I think that like it's not going to be like a ton of nostalgia. It's like you're going to discover a lot of. You should go though.
I know. I gotta go. We gotta go one time.
Yeah.
I'm
also,
never
it's
gonna
fun
go.
to discover new bands at a music festival. It's like, it's awesome. It's kind of insane to have some of the coolest bands in the world. They're just playing and you just walk around whenever. It's like, it doesn't always have to be things you like. It's cool to discover bands at a festival.
Skippy's dad, who is like in his 60s, I don't know how many years ago it was a few years ago, he rode his motorcycle from Seattle to Coachella and went by himself to Coachella.
Oh.
I'm like,
that's so sick.
The fucking coolest thing I've ever heard.
What a legend.
Yeah.
You know what's really cool about that is if anybody under the age of 35 did that now, it would be a fucking vlog series on YouTube. And he just did it.
he just did it because he's experiencing
like,
life.
Take any pictures? Yeah. He's like, no.
Nope. Just remember it in my mind.
I wanted to hear some good music. So I rode my motorcycle halfway down the country or whatever.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you have suggestions of which of these bands Craig should start listening to before
Oh, great.
Coachella.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
good idea.
We're going to run a poll. Kai, get the poll ready, Kai and Carlos. We're going to do a poll.
Warm up
Should
the
Craig
poll.
go to Coachella? Yes or no?
Imagine if it's like 80% no.
No.
What is it to them? Of course, they're like, yeah, who cares? Go.
Well, that's what, it needs to hit like 80% to even count. 80 is the new 50,
I can't tell if I hate or love that Shabuzi song. It's one of those like earworms where I'm like, is this terrible
it's not
or
up
great?
to you. It's like all Post Malone music. It's not up to you whether you like it. It's in your head.
I like Post Malone though.
Yeah, I really got it. Yeah, he's kind of just come over. He started wearing denim, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah, all his like country stuff is fun. He also just seems like a cool guy.
I don't think I wanted to like him, but he's like a family member or something where I'm like, I don't know. He's like warmed up. I'm kind of like, it's. I guess he's gonna be here with me for the next 30 years, won't he? I might as well like not have to dislike this experience.
Yeah, don't try and change him. Just embrace him.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like, yeah. I don't know what's up with the face either, but here we are.
Oh, come on.
Sorry.
Heifetz, you've never sounded more like a boomer.
That's a boomer ass thing to say. Why has he got all those drawings on his face?
Sorry.
Somebody was saying that to me about Ariana Grande. Like, she got tattoos all over her hands. Why would you do that?
I heard an interview with Ariana Grande where she did a spot-on impression of Hermione from
oh yeah, she did that on Bo and Yang's podcast. Yeah.
And I was like, oh damn. And apparently she's really good at impressions.
Dude, she's amazing.
She's really talented.
You should watch. She was on SNL a month ago. She was great. She's been doing like Celine Dion and Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears for like years on SNL.
That's incredible. I gotta watch that. But yeah, so she's like competing with Craig for best impressionist that I know.
Kind of just in general, me and her as two talents, as two icons.
In my head, it's you guys at the top. I don't know who, like maybe, I can't even think of another one that's nearly as good. So
right. Frank Caliendo.
It's Rob Riggle, Frank, Ariana Grande, and Craig.
I'm blanking on the name. Who's the comedian that does the show Tires?
Shane Gillis.
Gillis. He's got some good.
He can do Trump.
Show good?
Yeah, he's good at Trump anyway.
I was disappointed by it, to be honest. I was disappointed by Tires. Anyway, I saw Wicked. Wicked was good.
I'm going on Black Friday.
Yeah, it's great. I really liked it. I think it'll do well. People will like it.
Nice.
Craig, can you say Harry got splinched?
Oh, well, the way no, I mean, God, she's so good at that.
Harry got splinched.
Harry got splinched.
Oh no!
She has that the vocal fry. She like manages to add that.
Splinched. Harry got splinched.
Harry's been splinched. Ron's been splinched.
Oh, is it Ron? Sorry.
Yeah.
Ron, no. Ron's been splinched. Skippy just texted me, Ron got splinched.
Ron got splinched.
Yeah, you guys are the fucking Harry Potter fans.
She can hear me downstairs.
I just rewatched that movie.
I also don't know what splinched means.
Splinched means it's when you're apparating somewhere and you don't do it right. And so it's like, all right, God damn it. Explain Harry Potter to Craig. Apparating, Jackie's closing the door to my office right now. Apparating is when in Harry Potter you can like
apparating?
teleport.
Is apparating a real English word?
No.
I don't know if she invented it.
It's made up.
It's like Shakespeare. They invented words all the time. Apparating, it's like teleporting with magic. But if you're not doing it, like it's like a golf swing. If you're thinking about something else while you do it, you kind of don't send your whole body there. And that's a huge problem. So you really got to focus. And so if you apparate like while you're like in a chase scene, basically, like, you really got to nail it. And Ron wasn't the sharpest magician in the drawer. And so Ron, they were running from some people and they apparated somewhere. And then Ron kind of like lost some blood on the process. So that's getting splinched is when you're not really teleporting, with all your muster.
You got whiskey dick.
Whiskey dick for teleportation. Exactly.
I don't think that's quite.
No, it's not. I'm going to humor
right, but that's
really
fine.
But explaining Harry Potter to Craig one word at a time is.
Well, it's like starting with two fake words. I'm like, great, apparating and splinched.
Apparitions.
That sounds like a good drink.
Oh my God!
An apparated splinched.
Kai, write this down. Next week we're gonna play bands at Coachella or words from Harry Potter with Craig.
That's good. That's really good.
Or characters in Harry Potter or bands at Coachella?
Can I just watch? I kind of just want to watch the scene where Ron gets splinched.
All right.
Ron's been splinched. I can't even do it. I'm doing an impression of something I've never seen.
That's funny.
Oh my God.
I love that. Skippy literally texted me from downstairs. Ron was splinched.
Ron was splinched.
You idiot.
Moron. Stupid. All right. Goodbye, everyone.